Welcome back once again to the show. Robert Kraft is a billionaire business magnate, best known as the owner of the NFL's New England Patriots, the current Super Bowl champions. Kraft bought the team in 1994 and has won 4 Super Bowls, the most of any NFL owner in that time span. He's made the New England Patriots an internationally renowned team that will be forever remembered in the annals of sports and sports business. Kraft's dramatic transformation of the franchise began with an audacious plan to become the owner of the team by any means possible. Once again, here's Michael Ozanian with our Sports Money Profile.
I want to go back to how you bought the Patriots. I think I have this right. You're a season ticket holder. You're going to every game. The team's terrible in the early to mid-'80s. And your first move is you buy an option to buy a piece of real estate next to Foxborough Stadium. Then you, a few years later, buy Foxborough Stadium. And then you end up buying the team. Was this all a plan?
I used to sit in the stands in the 70s and 80s with my 4 sons and think how I didn't appreciate how the team was being managed or run. And I used to be really down that our season used to be over Christmas, because in the 34 years before we bought the team, you know, they had one home playoff game in 1978, which they lost to Houston. And I was there with Earl Campbell and everything. And I just said, if I have a shot at running this thing, you know, what would I try to do? And so then I tried to figure out how I could get an edge in buying the team. And there were 3 parts. You had the team, you had the stadium, which was a different ownership, and you had 300 acres of land around the stadium that you needed to be free on day of events for parking. That was owned by an amalgamation of 16, 17 people. Long story short, I went to them in 1985 and offered them basically $1 million a year to control that land, have an option on the land for 10 years, and with the option at any time to purchase it for $16 million. Because they had different things going on, they agreed to it. My banker told me I was crazy because, you know, it generated about $600,000 of parking revenue. But I saw that as part of a control factor, you know, long term. And, you know, we're taking a shot. You try to do whatever you can in any business to differentiate. So that at least gave us one leg of the stool. In 1988, the son of the owner of the Patriots sponsored the Michael Jackson tour, and they lost a lot of money. And eventually the stadium went bankrupt. And then Victor Kiam owned the team. And there was about $50 million of debt. And he bid $17 million for the stadium, and I bid $25 million. 50 cents on the dollar, basically. Now, the bankruptcy judge would have awarded to him if it was close, but it wasn't. And what that did is there was an operating covenant that went along with the lease that said the team must play there till 2001. Once again, my banker told me I was crazy. This is a stadium that was built in '71 for $6 million, and I was paying 25, and it's a white elephant single-purpose stadium. But what that did is it gave me all the revenues associated with the team: parking, signage, concessions, everything but the ticket revenue. And I think the then owner of the team had thought they'd probably move, so they didn't want to get saddled with a. And then a new owner came along, because Mr. Kiam, I guess, had some financial issues. And his name was Orthwein. He was part of the Bush family. And in '93, after that season, he wanted to move the team to St. Louis because they had built a publicly financed stadium. And that was '93. There were 8 years remaining on the lease, and I refused to let him move per the bankruptcy judge's commitment. He offered me $75 million to move and get out. So my sweet wife had heard that. She said, "You paid 25, they're offering you 75. Take it. You'll get another team someday." But, you know, as a young kid, I remembered when the Boston Braves left Boston for Milwaukee, and that was my team. So it wasn't about money. And flew out to St. Louis to meet with Mr. Orthwine. I had told my wife the right number. I said, the right number is 115, we might go to 120, 125. And I went out there and paid 172, which was unlike me in many ways. And that was the highest price ever paid for any franchise in any sport anywhere in the world at the time. And it was an instinct that if we got a hold of it, you know, we'd have the third piece. And, you know, the games used to be blacked out. The team never sold out in 34 years. So we took on a big challenge, but it looks like it worked out okay.
How was the reaction from your wife?
It's the only time in our marriage when she lost it and thought I'd gone bonkers. And right after I did it, the next day Parcells was our coach, and I'm reading in bed. It's about 10 o'clock at night, and she's next to me, and he said, "Now, we got to sign our left tackle, Bruce Armstrong." So I'm acting like a big shot, I own it. I said, "Sure, Bill, what are we talking about?" So he said, $10 million, 4 years. This is 1994. $2.5 million a year for, you know, so a $10 million commitment. And of course the phone, and my wife said, "No." I said, "Sure, go ahead, Bill." I hang up the phone. She says to me, "Is the summer house in my name?" So she thought I was off my rocker, and it's the only time in our marriage that, you know, because we had to come up with money fast, so, you know, our house, everything, but there are times in life when you believe in something and you go for it, and you might never get that second chance. And I'm sure you and I have a lot of friends that coulda, shoulda, woulda, and when the moment comes and you got the chance, you do it and you take it on, and you believe in yourself and that you can do it, and whatever values, maybe sometimes it's false confidence, but then you just work it and make sure, you know, that hard work, perseverance, charity, mental toughness, you get your opportunity, you go for it.